The movie opens deep in the forested mountains of West Virginia, where a couple, Rich and Haley, are scaling a rocky cliff face. As they climb higher, surrounded by dense trees and silence, Rich reaches the top first, only to suddenly vanish from sight without a sound. Haley, still clinging to the cliff, calls out for him but gets no response. Blood suddenly drips onto her face. Horrified, she sees Rich's body drop lifelessly past her. Something or someone is watching her from above. Panic takes over as Haley tries to climb down, but the rope is being yanked violently from above, and she falls. Dazed, she tries to escape through the forest. Branches tear at her skin as she runs. Just as she reaches a clearing, a figure bursts out from behind a tree, dragging her screaming into the shadows. The scene shifts to Chris, a clean-cut medical student, driving through the same region of backcountry. He's on his way to a job interview and, in a rush, takes a detour off the highway. A traffic jam caused by a chemical spill blocks his route, and he decides to look for an alternate road. He pulls into a dingy gas station nestled among the trees, where an unsettling old man, the station's only attendant, offers little help. Chris notices a rusted map and points to an old forest road. The man gives him vague directions with an unsettling tone, warning him about the backroads. Chris drives off down the dirt path, trees growing thicker, the signal fading from his phone. As Chris rounds a blind corner, he slams into a stranded SUV parked in the middle of the road. Its tires are shredded, and the car looks like it's been there a while. He gets out to inspect the damage. The other vehicle clearly ran over barbed wire deliberately stretched across the road. Out from the woods emerge a group of friends who were traveling in the SUV: Jesse, Carly, Scott, and Evan. Jesse is sharp and observant, Carly's the loud and playful one, while Scott is Carly's boyfriend. They all had planned a nature trip, but now their car is totaled and their friends Rich and Haley, from earlier, are still missing. Chris explains his situation and offers to help. Together, they decide to head out on foot and find help. The tension is low-key, but there's a creeping sense of unease. The woods are too quiet and the barbed wire too intentional. As Chris, Jesse, Carly, and Scott venture deeper into the forest in search of help, Evan and Francine stay behind near the wrecked cars, hoping someone will pass by. They joke around, try to calm their nerves, and get busy with each other, unaware they're being stalked. Back in the forest, Chris and the others trek through thick underbrush and eventually stumble upon an old dirt trail. At first, it seems like progress, but the group grows more uneasy as the woods become denser and the air more still. Meanwhile, Evan and Francine's moment of peace is shattered. Evan wanders off alone to investigate a noise but doesn't return. Francine searches for him, calling his name, but the only answer is silence. Then suddenly, a figure darts through the trees. Francine runs, but it's too late. A barbed wire trap is flung at her, yanking her backward as she screams. Blood paints the forest floor. Back with the other group, the trail leads them to a secluded rundown cabin hidden in the trees. Its yard is strewn with rusty cars, old tools, and bones. Chris and Jesse call out, but no one answers. The group cautiously enters the cabin, hoping to find a phone. Inside, the walls are grimy, the furniture broken. Then they discover jars of body parts, human remains, and horrifyingly twisted items. A refrigerator creaks open, revealing severed limbs inside. The group realizes, this isn't someone's home, it's a butcher shop, a killing ground. Before they can escape, a truck pulls up outside. Chris and the others panic and hide just as three deformed, inbred mountain men enter, dragging Francine's mutilated body behind them. The killers laugh and grunt as they chop her up, completely unaware of the horrified group hiding just feet away. The sound of metal against flesh, the smell of blood in the air, and one wrong move could give them away. The killers, grotesquely deformed and making guttural sounds, show no signs of leaving soon. Every creak of the floorboards or stifled breath could expose the four friends. Eventually, the killers fall asleep. The group seizes the moment and sneaks out quietly, holding their breath with every step. As they make it to the porch, a loose floorboard creaks loudly and the killers wake up. The group bolts into the woods, now being hunted. They run blindly through the forest, adrenaline pushing them forward. Later, they find refuge high up in a fire watchtower. From the tower, they spot a working radio and attempt to call for help. They manage to send out a distress signal, but the response is faint, and then the signal dies. Below, the killers arrive and set the tower on fire, forcing the group to climb out the back window and cross a high-up tree line using branches. It's a terrifying moment for them as they try to balance above the dark forest floor, with death below and danger behind them. As they climb, one of the mountain men starts chasing them through the treetops, and panic sets in. One wrong step and they could fall to their death. Unfortunately, One of the killers appears behind the tree and strikes Carly to death, separating her head from her body. The group is now down to 2, wounded, terrified, and completely alone in the West Virginia wilderness, with nowhere safe left to run. The next day, Chris and Jesse awaken beneath a secluded waterfall. They're exhausted, wounded, and emotionally drained, but they're alive. Without speaking, they gather themselves, determined to keep moving. They trek through the dense forest until they spot a road in the distance. Relief washes over them. They believe salvation is finally in sight. But just as they step onto the gravel, a sudden noise cuts through the air. The killers emerge again, relentless and savage. One of them lunges toward Jesse while another shoves Chris down a steep hill. Chris tumbles hard, bruised and scraped, but alive. He stumbles onto a remote road, just as a sheriff's patrol vehicle comes into view. Chris waves frantically, begging for help. The sheriff stops and listens. For a moment, it seems like rescue is finally real. But as the sheriff reaches for his radio, an arrow slams through his eye, killing him instantly. Chris ducks and hides under the vehicle as the killer approaches and drags the body away. The killer climbs into the vehicle, unaware Chris is clinging to the undercarriage. The patrol car drives deep into the woods, eventually arriving back at the cannibals' cabin. Chris, still hidden, hears Jesse's muffled screams inside. In a split-second decision, Chris sets the front door ablaze, creating a fiery distraction. As the killers scramble toward the flames, Chris drives the patrol car straight through the front of the cabin, slamming into one of the cannibals. He leaps out, grabs a weapon, and stabs another in the heart. Then Chris cuts Jesse free. Together, they fight off the last remaining mountain killer. But just when they think it's over, the bodies begin to stir. The killers are still alive. Chris acts fast. He lifts the sheriff's rifle, aims at the gas tank of the patrol car, and pulls the trigger. A massive explosion tears through the cabin, engulfing everything in flames. The monsters are finally dead. Later, Chris and Jesse return to the gas station where it all began. Chris looks up at the faded map nailed to the wall, the one that led him down the wrong turn. With quiet fury, he rips it down, tosses it aside, and drives out of town, leaving the nightmare behind. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe for more notifications. Until next time. See you soon.